Dear employers, stakeholders, and our partners, good morning. On behalf of NSSF and myself, I would like to welcome you to today's session. My name is Winfred Lunkose Kakumba. I'm the Customer Acquisition Manager. We want to thank you for partnering with us and joining us for this session. It's going to be an interactive session, and the agenda for today is we are going to do employer, we're going to discuss the member and employer rights and obligations, the NSSF products and member benefits, the performance, the 2024-2025 performance, and then also the highlights about the NSSF at 40, and then we are going to open up for the questions. On my panel today, I'm honored to introduce Mr. Geoffrey Waiswa-Sajabi, the Chief Commercial Officer. Thank you for joining this discussion.
Thank you, Winfred. Good morning, our dear employers and members. We're extremely glad to join you this morning.
We also have Pauline Nagadia. She's the senior manager in charge of benefits and data.
Thank you, Winnie. You're welcome, our viewers. Nice to have you today.
And lastly, we have Benedict Nasuna Semakula, the senior manager in charge of compliance.
Thank you, Winnie. Good morning, members. Thank you for joining in.
Thank you, our panelists. Like we said, it's going to be an interactive session. We're going to discuss a few things on the agenda, but we are going to start with the performance and highlight. We're going to give an highlight of the performance of the fund 2024-2025. So I'd like Geoffrey Sajabi to give us an highlight.
Good morning again. Let me start by talking about what the education series are. These are series that we've chosen to launch that will be running once per quarter. The aim is to ensure that you, the employers, you, the members, can have information on your fingertips. We know that employers have got a strict obligation, but for you to be able to fulfill the obligations, you also need to have a lot of information. So our hope is that going forward on a quarterly basis, we should be able to engage you. We should give you a platform where you can ask questions, a platform where you can get feedback, and therefore it supports you to make the decision that you need to be making as employers. Now, the fund, like you must have seen last week, had an incredible year. We did perform quite well, but I think the highlight of all that was the interest that we declared, that was 13.5%. That interest means that the investments that we undertook, it means that the collection that we got from you were put to, very good use, and therefore we're able to give our members 13.5%. That percentage translated into over 2.70 actual money that all members of the fund were able to get. So if someone is a member, by now you should have been able to receive your message, you should have been able to see your balance, and for us we think that that is a commitment that we make as the fund, that we will collect your money, invest it well, and when we do well, the returns, the interest, will come back to the members of the scheme. So that's how well the performance really was. In terms of the contributions, we collected more than 2.1 T. That was more than 180 billion every single month. And what made that possible was the commitment of the employers. So again, on that note, I'd like to say thank you. In terms of benefits to members, we paid close to 1.3 T last year, okay? Again, that also is a demonstration that we don't just collect, that when you qualify for your money, this money is actually paid out. We, on average, paid your benefits in less than 6 days, 5.4 days, okay? And we continue to commit that even as we go into this new year, we'll continue to bring down the TAT. So that is partly the performance of the fund.
Thank you, Geoff. Now that Geoffrey has talked about the performance of the fund, what are the member rights and obligations, and what are those benefits that people should tap into?
Okay. Thank you, Winnie. So as a member, you have a right to Social Security. If you go back to the International Labour Organization, it requires that every person should have Social Security, and it broadly focuses on 3 major benefits under Social Security, which are related to age, invalidity, and survivor. So under NSSF, you have a right to Social Security. And how do you benefit from that? Is by having an employer through which you will be paying this Social Security. So you have a right to registration. That means you should register as a member of NSSF to be able to contribute for you. And that means the employer should be paying for you at 10% as described by the NSSF Act. So this 10% is your right because it's already stated in the Act. So you have to get a 10% contribution on top of your 5%, and it's contributed to NSF. This money comes through from all your emoluments. We have cases where employers are only contributing on basic salary. So we are saying that on all the emoluments you get from the employer, it's your right to receive contributions in terms of 10% and from the employer under 5% from your salary. So at the end of it all, you also have a right to benefits, and the terms and conditions apply as will be discussed later. So those are the rights. However, you also have an obligation as a member. You have an obligation to register with NSSF. We know there are members out there who feel that they shouldn't be registered with NSSF. It's your obligation for you to be able to benefit from the Social Security that you have a right to. You should register with NSSF. So you have an obligation to provide your registration details to your employer. That is a national ID. Or if you're already registered and you change employers, you give your employer your NSSF number. You have one NSSF number through your employment work life. You also have an obligation to update your member data. As we are aware, we are required to register members from the age of 16. And so when you are in employment, you change, your status changes. You get married, you get children. So you have an obligation to update this information with us as things change in your life. And of course, at the end, you have an obligation to confirm that your employer is contributing the required amount. We know employers out there who are not contributing to the right amount. So as a member, you have an obligation to whistleblow against your employer so that then you can collect the right amount. Thank you, Winnie.
Thank you, Bernadette. The second question also goes to you. You've spoken about the member rights. Can you also tell us the rights under the mandatory scheme, what the rights for the employers and obligations that they are supposed to do in order to deliver the mandate of NSSF?
Okay, thank you. So on the employer side, the employer has a right to deduct 5% from the employees. There are employees there who tell employers, I don't want to pay NSSF. It is your right as an employer to deduct that money. Otherwise, if it is not deducted, then the whole obligation will fall to you as the employer, and that's a cost to the company. You also have a right to request for support from NSSF in terms of how do I compute my obligations for NSSF, and also maybe support in terms of checking your books, maybe request for a comprehensive audit. That is your right, and NSSF will support that. You also have a right to request for a clearance certificate for NSSF to support you in business, as in when you're applying for bids. Your obligation as the employer, you're required to register as an employer if you employ even one person, as per the new law that came into place in 2022. So you're required, it's an obligation for every employer to register, and also register all your employees so that you're able to contribute for them. And then the other obligation is to make monthly contributions to your employees or for your employees on the right amounts. And then finally make the remittances on every 15th day of the following month, so that you don't then incur penalties that may come with late payments. Thank you, Winnie.
Bernadette, for giving us that highlight. Going back to the NSSF model of collecting, investing, we also pay out benefits. So I would like to invite Pauline Nagadia to give us the requirements of how someone can qualify for their NSSF benefits. And if there are any products, please speak about them.
Okay, thank you, Winnie. Good morning once again, our dear members. Now, as NSSF, we have different types of benefits, and these kinds of benefits will require different requirements. Okay, the key one to start with is the age-related benefit, that is age 55. Age 55 is paid to a member who has been contributing with NSSF. This member must have made 55 years of age. We pay this whether the member is in employment or out of employment. Such a member will qualify to get their benefits. Then the other category is age 50. This is paid to a member who has made 50 years but is out of employment. So once you're out of employment, what do you need to come with? You need to bring your disengagement letter, as in your termination letter or end of contract letter, your national ID, and a bank statement. Just a few requirements and you're in to get your benefits. The other type of benefit is the invalidity benefit. This is paid to members who are incapacitated by health problems. So if you're incapacitated, you also qualify to get your benefits. But we shall require clinical notes or medical documents to prove that actually you're incapacitated and you're not in position to work. The other key benefit comes with the mid-term benefit. This is paid to members who have made 45 years of age and they have been contributing for the last 10 years. So once you're 45, you qualify to get a percentage, that is 20%. We also pay mid-term to people with disabilities. This is paid to members who have made 40 years of age and have been also contributing with the fund for 10 years. And such members are eligible to get 50% of their total balance. The other key benefit that we pay is the immigration benefit that is paid to Ugandans who have gone to work abroad. That is paid to members that have got permanent residence in foreign countries. So what we need from that is that when you're in the diaspora, wherever you're working, you've relocated permanently, we need to prove that you've actually relocated permanently. So we need your permanent residence and the other identification documents must be notarized from that country. Then the other benefit is the exempted employment. This is paid to our members who are in exempted employment. This means that you initially worked probably in the private sector, but now you're employed by another organization that has a different scheme. This mainly speaks to public service members and NGOs that have a pension elsewhere. And our last one is the survivor benefit that is paid to, in case one of our member goes to be with the Lord, God forbid, the beneficiaries to the member can come and claim their benefits. This benefit, I think, is very, very key, and our dear members, we need to understand that wherever we are, we call upon you to update your details. In event that you're not around, we should be in position to check in the system and get your close relatives and be in position to pay this money. Who qualifies under that survivor benefit is that we pay, the spouse will get 15%, and our key beneficiaries are the children in this case, who will receive the 85% of whatever you've contributed with the fund. The key requirement for that is that we need letters of administration, or probate, or a will. If the deceased left a will, then we need to know who is eligible to receive this money. The other key thing is that we need a death certificate from NIRA, of course, clearly stating that the person passed on. So those are our few benefits that we offer. Thank you, Winnie.
Thank you, Pauline, for giving us that highlight about the benefits that NSSF offers. But also maybe that we have employers, we have our stakeholders who are employers that are employing people. So would like to know, are they required in the process of claiming benefits? What support can they give to their members in applying for the NSSF benefits?
Okay, thank you so much, Winnie. Employers are very, very key in our process of paying out benefits. Key to note is that the employer remits on behalf of the member. So once you come to claim your money, the employer, in most cases, will support us in all types of benefits that we pay out. We need to confirm with the employer whether this is the actual member who actually contributed with us. So our dear employers, we call upon you to support us. I know most of you have been supporting us and would like to thank you in that process, specifically in those benefits where members are not presently, the non-age related claims. Employers are very, very key in that process to verify that actually the member we are going to pay actually worked with a particular employer. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pauline. We've spoken about the benefits, but I want to go to Geoffrey. With the amendment of the NSSF Act, it opened up, created new benefits like the Smart Life and the, not really Smart Life, but the voluntary, how people can save voluntarily. Can you speak to that and how someone can start contributing towards Smart Life and voluntary, and what the benefits are for that?
Okay, so thank you so much, Winnie. Now, under the NSSF Act Cap 230, members of the scheme now have the freedom to contribute over and above 5%. So for those who are currently employed, so if I'm employed here, my employer does the 10%, I do the 5%, the law now allows me to contribute more than 5%. And I can do it in two ways. Number one, I can instruct my employer to deduct more than 5%. And that money goes every month when they are contributing to the fund. Number two, I can also choose on my own, whether it is from employment income or another income. I can also choose on my own to approach NSSF or go to the mobile app and be able to enroll and directly contribute on a monthly basis. The fund did launch a product, Smart Life. Smart Life is extremely flexible. It enables any member of the public to determine how much to save, for as long as it's not less than 5K, okay? Two, the frequency is also very flexible. You can choose to contribute daily, monthly, weekly. You can even pay every hour and say every hour if I get some money, for as long as it's not less than 5K. But the other key aspect of the Smart Life is the duration. You choose how long you want to contribute, provided it's not less than 1 year. Now, why 1 year? Because we need to support members to have some bit of sustainability. We would not like that you contribute for 1 week and then you need to take out the money. So you can pick any period, 5 years, 2 years, 1 year. Condition is it's not less than 1 year. So we would like to encourage you, even as employers, you also double as members, okay? So the product is available for you. It is flexible. You determine how much to save, for how long, okay? And it attracts competitive returns in terms of the interest, okay? So you get to earn interest on a daily basis. We credit that interest onto your account at every end of month, okay? So it is something that you can consider Right now, we're giving almost about 13%. Now, that on the market is quite good. So we would like to invite you as members, but also as employers, to speak to your employees. Smart Life gives you an opportunity to plan for your future, to contribute more than the 5 and 10. Thank you.
Thank you, Geoffrey, for that elaborate discussion about Smart Life. I would like to still continue welcoming the stakeholders and the partners that have joined us online. This is the Customer Engagement and Education series, where we come to you to let you know more about the products of NSSF. Online, we have our employers, we have our new business prospects. So we want you to ask questions in regards to the processes that you don't know, in line with benefits, in line with contributions and compliance. On the panel, we have the who to go to in the fund in line of the business process. Mr. Geoffrey Sajabi is our Chief Commercial Officer. Pauline Nagadia is the Senior Manager, Data and Benefits. And Bernadette is the Senior Manager in charge of compliance. But before we get the questions, maybe to Bernadette, I'd like to ask, what are those common mistakes that employers do in regards to compliance and remitting contributions? Sometimes we find employers maybe withholding the 10% and the 5%. What would you advise a new employer? Or what would you advise the employer who is struggling financially, who is having challenges in regards to compliance and ensuring that the contributions coming?
Okay, thank you, Winnie. So the first mistakes that we've noted when employers are making remittances for employees, one is the amount against which the 5% is deducted. They use the basic. They don't add up all the emoluments that the members receive. So if you're an accountant out there or a clerk supporting an employer, just know that whatever money comes out in terms of cash to a member or to an employee should be included in the computation of the 5% and 10% contribution for NSSF for every member. The second mistake is that employers assume that casual laborers are not supposed to be contributed for. So when you go to employers, they tell us that these people are casual, I pay them a daily rate or an hourly rate. But what we say is that NSSF does not discriminate, because everyone grows old. So everyone should be contributed for. So it could be cumbersome. Someone may say it's cumbersome computing, but maintain a roll or an Excel spreadsheet to indicate how much you pay. At the end of the month, you will be able to know what you should deduct from the employee and also compute that 10%. So those are the major mistakes that happen.
Thank you. Thank you, Bernadette. We are now going to go into our question and answer session. In case you have a question in regards to contributions, in regards to compliance, the questions are welcome. But we already have a question from Mr. Simon Mavida, and I think this question will go to Pauline. What happens when the employer is not willing to support the employee in the process of benefits? I think he's in the process of claiming benefits. Yes.
Thank you, Winnie. What happens when the employer is not willing to support the employee in the process of claiming their benefits? Usually what we advise our members is that when an employer is not able to support, they usually come back to us with a specific reason why they are not willing to support the employee. And in most cases, we want to verify whether actually this member has stopped working with that employer. So there are two ways in which we verify that information: by going through the employer to confirm whether you actually stopped working. Number two, we also verify your member statement to confirm that you're actually no longer receiving contributions from that employer. So what we usually request members that if you've just gone out of employment and the employer is not willing to support, we usually advise that you give us a grace period, because we need to confirm that actually contributions stopped coming through on your statement. So once that is confirmed, even if the employer is not coming through, then NSSF will be able to support you to get your benefits. Thank you.
For that answer. So, Mr. Simon Mabida, you can always come to NSSF and you'll be supported. We also have a question. In regards, the question is, apart from the legal compliance and other benefits, does remaining compliant with NSSF bring anything? Let me give it to Bernadette.
Yes, I think I spoke to that earlier on. Being compliant with NSSF has a lot of benefits. One, you're able to bid or to go out and apply for any business in the country, because they will, first of all, you need to note that contributing NSSF for members, it's a benefit. So employers should take it as a benefit to their staff. So using that as an advantage, you're telling the public out there that we are giving a lot of benefits to our staff. But then the real benefit is you're able to, we will issue you a clearance certificate, which you will present in your bidding process. And I think in many of the companies around, especially government organizations, you will be required to present an NSSF clearance certificate. So that is the real benefit, because you'll be able to get more business and your business will grow. Yeah.
Okay.
But I can also just add, even in terms of the stability of the employer, if my contributions to NSSF are consistently being paid, I have more reason to work when I'm motivated. I have more reason to stay longer in that particular entity. Because if I must choose between an employer that cares for me as an individual, and one that doesn't, most likely I'll go with the one that actually cares. So I think also part of your turnover can be high because you're not compliant, because you're not sending people's money at the right time. So it's also good for your own business that you comply, because then your workers, your employees have more reason to be faithful and to work for you. That too, for me, I think is a very big, benefit.
Thank you, Geoffrey, for giving us that clarity. This question goes to you still, Geoffrey. What is NSSF doing to support us, the employers who may not be in a good financial position to pay?
Great, thank you. That's often a difficult one, but we support you in so many ways. Number one, about 5 years ago, the fund launched what we call High Innovator, okay? That is intended to support especially the startups that meet a criteria that is often, set out. Now, when we send the adverts out and you feel that you may qualify for funding from the fund in terms of the business that you're doing, you then come and compete. We've been able to fund, I think, in excess of 500 employers, okay? So again, that might not benefit, all, but that is available. Number two, the financial literacy that we do is not just for members only. It's also for entities. So also an employer, if you've got issues with your, money, your finances, your planning, NSSF is also available to come and speak to you, to come and look at your books, to come and support you and give you advice that ordinarily you'd be paying for, okay? So again, that is some form of support. But the other way we support you is that we recognize when financially things are difficult, and we will not adamantly come and shut your shop, no. We'll give you a convenient payment plan. We'll try to understand your cash flow issues and draft a plan that aligns with the cash flow of the company, okay? So if I need to be paying 20 million every month and I can only pay 5 million, then NSSF can sit down with me, look into my books, and draft a convenient payment plan that ensures that even when I'm not fully compliant in terms of paying all the money, I am gradually moving towards there. So yes, we understand that there can be issues, challenges of money, but we work with you, we support you, and we draft with you a payment plan that aligns with your cash flows. Thank you.
Thank you, Geoffrey. Maybe Bernadette, to add more to that, where do they go to get this support?
Oh, yes. Each employer is assigned a relationship manager across the branch network. So you'll approach us and you'll be supported in any way that you would like. However, you can also reach us on our toll-free line and all our e-channels, so that then you're properly guided in case you're not aware of where to go exactly. Thank you.
Thank you. There was a question about the high innovator, but Geoffrey has already answered that. Maybe the other question is, I've heard about the NSSF Smart Life. Have you added the ability to do payroll deductions for any staff member who may not be interested? Geoffrey, over to you.
Thank you. So that is under development. We're hoping that by the end of November, that will be in place. But even for employers where that has not yet been deployed, for now, we can guide manually. And so you are able to make the deduction. But we think that within the next 30 days, every employer whose employees want to contribute will soon have a solution. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you, Geoffrey. Bernadette, you spoke about the whistleblowing, and as part of the rights of a member, that I can come and whistleblow if my employer is not remitting my contributions. So the question is, how does NSSF ensure that the whistleblower cases you get are effectively investigated within and the employer is given the opportunity, is the employer given the opportunity to share their side as you're handling the whistleblower cases?
Okay, thank you. So whistleblowers come in two forms. We have the whistleblowers where the member who is whistleblowing is willing to share their details, so we can effectively engage with them and get out all the information. So in that case, we will work with the employee who has whistleblown, and we will go into the employer. We will do an audit, and the audit may be just to pick out the money of that whistleblower, since they've come out open, or for the whole organization, to ensure that we capture all the other members that we are not paid for. So yes, we will do a comprehensive audit, and we will have discussions with the employer. So the employer has the platform to actually tell us why they think these people shouldn't be included, and we'll also tell them the side or what the whistleblower has given us, because sometimes the whistleblowers give us contracts or employment engagement letters that they received, or even termination letters, to clearly show what their salaries were and what NSF received. So we do those engagements with the employers, and at the end of the day, we come up with a payment agreement, which the employer then pays in a favorable manner. So the discussions and engagements with both the whistleblower and the employer take place. The second category is the employee or a member who whistleblows, but they would like to remain anonymous. Those are a bit of a challenge, because then we have to go in and keep discussing with the employer, who may be willing or not willing to give us the information. So those discussions, it may take longer for us to resolve those cases, but yes, we continue engaging, and maybe at this point, the whistleblower needs to come in and be open and be willing to give us more information to help us get out their money. So yeah, the engagements happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernadette. I see that Smart Life is a very hot topic today. So the question goes to Pauline. Are there any kind of tax charged at the point of withdrawal from the Smart Life product?
Thank you so much, Winnie. Just to advise our dear members out there that NSSF benefits are not taxed. Okay, they are tax-free. Once you've contributed your voluntary contributions and you've earned interest, when you want to claim it, you claim it as is. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pauline. The next question, I think, will go to Bernadette. It's still about compliance. Thank you for the program. I would like to find out if one can only pay 5% for the employee. As an employer, can I pay 5% in case I have financial challenges?
Okay. So as I started, I mentioned that it's the right of an employee to get both the 10% from the employer. So I'm assuming the question is saying that can I first pay the 5% and pay the 10% later? Yeah. So yes, it's possible. Our systems are well configured to handle that. So if you have challenges, financial challenges, and would like to pay the 5% you deducted from the employee first, and then make a payment plan for the 10%, that is very acceptable. So please come, don't stay there and say, I can't come, NSSF is rigid. We are open, the systems are accommodative, and we can handle that.
Thank you, Bernadette. The other question goes to Pauline. What can we do to help the employers who are around 55 and above, since this is above the limit? I think this is an employer who is, how can, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Winnie, for that question. What do we do for members who are above 55 years of age? Is that the question? Okay. So for members who are above 55 years of age, the option is upon the member to accept. They must consent that you deduct 5% from them, because at that point they have reached their age and they have the option to either contribute or not to contribute. So that is a discussion that you can have with your employees to consent. But once they agree for you to deduct the 5%, then the employer must also pay 10% for that obligation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Pauline. I have a question from Mr. Paul Arico. Paul, I thank you for organizing this meeting. However, I have an issue with NSSF that you are not whipping, especially the NGOs who are not remitting the employee contributions of 15%, even when the employees bring it to your concern. Maybe Geoffrey, can you speak to that?
Okay. So I think it's not just an issue of not whipping. Okay. We need to understand that many times issues of non-compliance are based on certain reasons. Okay. So an employer can also have financial challenges. That's why we come in, we undertake an audit. But recovering that money is normally not possible to be paid at once. So if I audited an NGO and they have got 80 million outstanding, they may tell me, given their cash flows, they can only be able to pay 10 million every month, meaning that it will take a bit of an extended time for that money to be paid. Two, you have cases where they tell you, at the moment we don't have funding. Again, you must draft your payment plan to recognize the challenges that the employer is currently facing. So it is not true that we simply, don't do anything. We do go in, ask for documents, conduct audits, but the payment plans signed are often long enough to be able to enable the employer to also continue paying their normal, monthly money, but also at the same time pay part of the arrears. So I would like to still encourage you that when you've got information, still give it to NSSF. A case taking longer doesn't mean that nothing is being done. It's because these cases normally will take a bit of time. But also for the employers, when we come to you to ask for documents, many times it's not also a straightforward line. You write a letter today, an employer responds and says our accountant is on leave. Give us 1 month. 1 month ends, then they write another letter saying the MD, is sick and is the only person who has got the documents. These are delaying tactics in our view, okay? So our ask is, when NSSF comes to ask for documents that are intended to enable us establish your outstanding amounts, please comply, please cooperate. When you cooperate, when you give us the documents, it makes it a lot easier and faster to recover whatever money is outstanding. But even for those that are a bit stubborn, you might successfully refuse to give us documents for 1 year, but the crime doesn't go away. At an appropriate time, we'll still find means to get the documents. And by that time, your arrears, your penalty, your interest is extremely high. So our ask is, when we come in, please cooperate, give us the documents. Even if there are arrears outstanding, we'll sign a payment plan that enables you to pay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Geoffrey, and thank you, our viewers, for keeping it online. Another question, maybe this will go to Bernadette. Does NSSF have any easy way for us to register our staff directly on the portal, employer portal, instead of asking them to come to our offices, or our offices or their offices? Yes.
Okay. Yes. Employee registration can be done online, and actually members can register themselves using our NSSF Go app. So just if it's cumbersome for the employer, the member themselves just need to download the NSSF app, use their NIN, and register themselves, and then give you the NSSF number. Or they can register through our USSD *254#, and they should be able to get an NSSF number. But you, as the employer, you should also be able to register online and get NSSF numbers for your employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernadette, for guiding the employers on how to register themselves. The other question is, it looks like a pain point about the survivor's benefit. And I'll take this to Pauline. Good morning. What is the rationale of 15 and 85 payout to my wife and children, respectively? Speak to going to probate for my beneficiaries to process benefits. If the beneficiaries are registered in the system with you, why can't they have access without going through the long, costly process? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Winnie, for that question. We appreciate the concerns of the member about the requirements of the survivor benefit, but the key thing to note that not all members do update their details. So whereas you may think that probably your member has registered all the beneficiaries, in most cases, 90%, when we do the verification, we find that majority of our members do not actually update all their beneficiaries. So the key thing is to ask for the letters of administration. If you know what is involved in the letters of administration, the petition will clearly spell out the family meeting that you had, clearly stating all the children of the deceased. The purpose of that is to compare that information with what we have in the system. Even if we have members who are not put on the system, but the petition clearly states that this deceased had more children, these children are also entitled. So it is not a delaying tactic, but we want to make sure that all the children we have out there get an equal share of the members' benefit. The key question is, why 15%, why 85% to the children? We are guided by the NSSF Act Cap 230 that in the process of paying the survivor benefits, we have like 4 classes, but our first class is spouse and children. It is considered that these are the immediate relatives of the member who should actually get this money. So the act clearly spells out that the wife will take 15% and the children will take 85%. And my thinking behind this is because most of these children sometimes are still young and they are still in school, they require money to go through that system. However, it is guided by the act. That's why we pay 15 and 85% to the children. Thank you.
I see that we are running out of time. Maybe a reminder is that we are going to have these sessions quarterly. We will have our next quarter in November, so we encourage you to join. We've got a number of questions that we may not be able to respond to here, but we shall respond to them in our quarterly sessions, the one being next in November. But before we come to the closing remarks, probably, I'm going to ask Geoffrey to give us the strategy for the informal sector, because many people are asking, what is our strategy for us to penetrate the informal sector in regards to social security?
Thank you. Now, the greatest basis of the amendment of the NSSF Act that opened up the space was intending to help us penetrate the informal economy. You recall that initially we covered entities that were employing at least 5 people. Now that was taken away. Regardless of the number of employees you have, the fund can actually come over. We know that a significant percentage of employers within the informal economy employ less than 5 people. So by the threshold being lowered, it means that it's given us entry into the informal economy. Number 2, we also know that a significant percentage of people within the informal economy are self-employed. Self-employed in the sense that you may not qualify as an employer, but you're self-employed, you're making your own money. The reason why voluntary was also introduced is to enable people that are self-employed. If I'm in the market in Owino, Nakasero, Nakawa, I have my, things that I sell within the market. I'm self-employed. Smart Life that was launched by the fund last year means that even that person who is self-employed, even the farmer in his garden that is making some money, can voluntarily come forward and contribute. So the greatest answer for me would be that the amendments of the NSSF Act that removed the threshold of 5 employees, 1, but 2, that introduced voluntary as an option is a recognition of the need for us to go into the informal economy. Because today, if you look at data from UBOS, okay, only 1 out of every 10 employed people in Uganda, only 1 is in the formal economy. It means 9 out of 10 people that you meet are actually informally employed. And that's why voluntary came for you. That's why Smart Life is here for you. So even if you're informally employed, one fact is you'll also age. You'll also get old. So it's an opportunity for you to also enroll and contribute for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Geoffrey. I see we have many questions, but I'll give you one more. When NSSF is paying interest, which actual amount earns which actual amount earns the interest? Is it the current? Is the current amount as at the payments? Okay, let me rephrase. I think someone is asking which amount earns interest. Maybe you can speak to that.
Okay, thanks. So NSSF now has got almost 2 types of, interest, okay? You have what we call the mandatory scheme, where your money is coming from the employer, your 5 and 10%. Interest is computed on the opening balance at 1st July, okay? So we look at 1st July of the previous year. The interest that we declared this year was computed on your balance at 1st July 2024. The interest that will give you next year will be computed on your balance at 1st July 2025. But for Smart Life, it's different. For Smart Life, like I indicated earlier, you earn interest on a daily basis. You don't wait for the minister to come and declare. Whereas the mandatory people were waiting for the minister, the Smart Life people were already seeing their interest because it's earned daily. But at the end of the month, we credit that interest on the statement of the member. So I guess that should really, answer that. Yeah.
We've really run out of time, but I'm going to ask each one of these panel members to give their closing remarks. But maybe just as a reminder, we are going to have these sessions quarterly. And the purpose of these sessions is to ensure that you know about your NSSF, so that you ask the questions that you want to ask. So we encourage all employers, all members to always join these sessions when we send out the invites. I will start with Bernadette. What are your parting shots your remarks, closing remarks.
Thank you so much, and thank you, dear members and employers, for joining us for this first session of our employer engagements and educational series. We hope you'll continue joining us and we discuss things that will help you become more compliant. My parting shots are NSF is open for you. We have a big team across the branch network. Please come to us. Don't wait to be told that you're not compliant or you have a pending bill. If you have any questions, anything that is not clear, come to us. We are open to support you. You can always engage us on our online services. We have a toll-free line, no cost, so that you can get information to help you become more compliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernadette. Pauline?
Thank you, Winnie, and thank you, our dear members, for joining us this morning. Mine is just to send out our appreciation specifically to the employers for supporting us in the process of remitting the employee contributions, but also in the process of the verifying when we are paying out to our dear members. We continue to appreciate you, and I would like to encourage our dear members and listeners, whoever is in there, to kindly request that you update your details, specifically the beneficiaries, because it is very, very key at the time when we are actually paying out your benefits. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pauline. Geoffrey?
Thank you so much, Winnie. This year, the fund makes 40 years. 40 years would not be possible without you, the employers. There is absolutely no NSSF without employers. Employers give an opportunity to people to get jobs, to people to earn, and as a result, as NSSF, we can be able to come and collect on behalf of the people that you employ. So we would like to commit to you, the employers, that we are available. We are available to listen. We are available to support you in your journey to total compliance. We are available to understand your challenges and work with you to be able to address these issues. Because as we make 40 years of age, we recognize that without you, there would be no NSSF. 2, NSSF this year, as we mark 40 years, we are also committed to giving back to the community. On the 12th of October, we have the NSSF run. We are selling kits at 35K per kit. Organizations, employers like you can also come and buy for your employees. Should you buy 10 kits, we've got a promotion where you can get an additional 2. You may not need to do initiatives on your own. You can come and join us as we support the communities in which we operate. So please feel free to participate in the run. Again, I would like to say thank you to you that have chosen to join us. Like we indicated earlier, the engagements will be happening quarterly. I would like that even as we go off, you continue asking questions, because the questions that you ask will guide the topics for the next, quarter. So again, to just say thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Geoffrey. Thank you, everyone, for attending. In case you have any extra questions, we have our WhatsApp line, 0784 259 713. But you can also visit us on our NSSF website, or you can go to the app and get more details. Thank you for joining. See you in November.